Welcome to the Porsche Club Insider, your one stop for all things Porsche and PCA. Here's your host, Vu Gwyn, and the Insider crew.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode 73. We are at PCA's national headquarters. Around the table, I've got Manny and Damon Lowney, and at the controls we have Robert Forsyth. And we are recording this in between some major travels, and we're probably not working on too much sleep, right, Manny?
No, I'm not. No. 12 hours ago, we were being squished in a Southwest coach seat coming back from California.
Yeah, but we've been very efficient and productive the past couple of days. We'll catch up on a little bit of what we did yesterday.
Yeah, it's really tough to stay up until midnight, 1 a.m. watching your favorite show. I'm just going to say.
So how was your weekend?
My weekend was pretty good, actually. Got the mowed the lawn, did a bunch of housework. Watched, I don't know if any anime fans out there, I grew up watching Dragon Ball Z, and now it's on Hulu.
Oh my gosh.
So it's, a lot of
Dragon Ball Z.
A lot of Dragon Ball Z.
That goes back.
Yep, it does go back.
So are you enjoying your new to you ride?
Yeah, I am. I've already ordered Coney Yellows, Eibach Sports, all the suspension hardware to put together with brand new parts, the strut. And the strut spring combo. I bought 4 Mazda Speed 3 wheels, which Robert can pull up a picture of one of those wheels. My cat likes the wheel, apparently. Jumped right on as soon as I got him out of the box.
Did you find that on Facebook Marketplace?
No, actually, the easy way. So if you want 4 brand new wheels, and this probably isn't just Mazda wheels, but if you want 4 brand new looking wheels, you're going to be paying a lot of money if they're OEM. Or you can go get one that's a little bit curb rashed, buy 4 of them for much less, and then my local alloy wheel repair specialist
get them refinished.
shop.
Yeah.
$600 maybe, because there's curb rash on all of them, maybe $800 or something, and you come in around $1,500 or so.
Oh, okay.
So, for a brand new set of OE wheels.
So your car will have sort of like the stance and the look of a Mazda Speed.
And look of a Mazda Speed, though they didn't make a Mazda Speed for this generation, so it'll be kind of a fun little car. But that's me. That's what I've done.
Well, I know Manny and I, we were like in the cars and coffee scene all weekend, going from show to show to show.
Yeah, I was supposed to be at the beach.
You got out of that. You got out of that because I was surprised to see you at the Cars and Coffee. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought he promised his family he was going to spend time at the beach, which I know you absolutely love.
The commitment was made, and I showed up. And we got word that there was some water that came into the basement, which really wasn't bad at all. At least our mother-in-law told us it was a lot worse than we thought, but then it was. And
at your house?
Yeah, we had a little bit of water that came in.
We had some serious storms. Like lately, it's been like, and it's been all over the country, I'm sure. Like, it's not just a sprinkle. It's like when it storms, it's like a downpour and just buckets and buckets. And for those that have basements like we do,
guess whose basement is dry now?
Your basement's good now, right?
My basement's dry. Good. And some of the water was the AC. I hadn't serviced it in 10 years since I've lived there.
Yeah.
It looked bad.
Wow, 10 years?
Fortunately, they could just clean it out and it was all good. But I had no clue that AC needed servicing like that every year.
Once a year,
yeah. So
usually we need to turn it on. Yeah. Well, I was going to say, as soon as it floods or starts leaking, you learn to do it every year.
Yeah. Well, now that I fixed my basement, and then where's all the water coming from? And it was the AC.
It was the AC.
I just didn't know exactly where to look.
So instead of laying on the beach and taking in some sun rays, which you were supposed to do, you actually came home and you hit all the shows
your
regular routine.
Coffee and where there was 2 very cool cars. There was a lot of Porsches as always, but there was a guy who showed up with the 69 912 and I think champagne yellow.
Ooh, that's
with the
beautiful.
Sunroof, which is really rare for a 912. Beautiful condition, just absolutely stunning.
Any idea where he found it or how long he had it?
I thought he said bring a trailer, maybe.
Okay,
I think.
Okay.
It was.
It's really cool to see 912s get,
And then there was, I think that's a 59, 56A.
56, yeah.
A lot of patina. It was very, you almost don't want to wash it. It had so much cool patina on it. The interior, I said, if Yankee Candle could make that smell, they would just be gangbusters. It was a mixture of oil, fuel,
Leather.
and leather.
Yeah.
Old leather.
Yeah.
And thrown in with a little bit of mildew.
And does it smell similar to like VW Bugs?
Probably, yeah.
yeah,
I mean, the
yeah.
German cars have that certain smell that
Yeah.
that so brings memories flooding back.
Very cool looking
Yeah,
car.
it was very. It also got a lot of looks.
It's got a little bit of rust at the bottom, which adds to the patina look.
Yeah,
Yeah. But they all have a little bit of rust, right?
at least the ones that haven't been fully restored yet.
Yeah, yeah. So that 912, that was very cool to see. That thing looked like it was a perfect example. And I just remember back in the day, like what, 10, 15 years ago, 912s were not really in favor. And you could have gotten one for a sweet deal. But now they come into their own.
Who'd want a 911 with a VW engine in it?
Well, that's what they used to say, right? They used to say, like,
And all complaints.
all complaints to Damon Lowney.
Damon Lowney.
But Bob Gutjahr loves driving his, right? He has a 912.
He has the 912E.
Oh, he has a 912E.
And so that has the 914 engine. And
Okay.
That was a 1-year U.S. only car.
Yeah.
These were worldwide, and that's when they realized that Porsche priced the 911 much further out than the 56, and they didn't have that gap car. People were complaining that it became too expensive, so they came with the 4-cylinder version, which actually, supposedly handles better. It's hard to tell the difference.
Less weight.
Just less weight, and most of the engines move further, because if you look inside of a 912 engine bay, you can literally see the missing 2 cylinders because it's not filling up the whole bay. But yeah, they were they pretty much a 911 without the engine. Same interior, same gauges, and it's all the same.
So Saturday was a beautiful day here in Maryland. I know Hunt Valley Will's show was completely full as usual. I was at Mikey and Mel's, and we were also a full lot, 500 plus cars. A lot of cool cars there, but the best thing was Sunday. Sunday was something new. We have a group that puts together pop-up events and sort of evening car shows, and it's a Sunset. I think it was Sunset Cars and Coffee, and it was at this place called Braglio Farms, which is not too far from here, maybe like 10 miles actually from the office or so. But it feels as though you're in the middle of a field and nowhere. Beautiful wildflowers, and they have a farm with various ice cream and sandwiches and stuff like that. But it was a cool vibe. It was a much younger generation when it starts at 4 p.m. and ends at 7. I had 90s hip hop playing, and it wasn't very big. It was about
Younger generation, yet they're playing stuff from the older generation.
I know, but younger people love 90s hip hop, which I can't.
I wasn't really impressed with this. I was expecting. It was a parking lot with it didn't have I guess in Hunt Valley and Mikey's, you don't have regular cars that are parking with
oh, you mean like all
cars.
together with the show cars?
Yeah,
I did notice that.
They should have had a separate parking area for people to come to watch, and then the show cars.
Oh, I see.
It was just
so for those of you that aren't watching on YouTube, the photo that's showing right now is a beautiful paper-plated GT3 RS, which I had the opportunity to drive and bring to the show. It's white with the red script and the red wheels, and I gotta tell you, I spent about 50 miles in it, just taking it from my friends over to the show, and what an amazing car! Like this, I haven't driven
Didn't
a car.
you show it to every family member you know?
I know, I did. I did.
Half the Asian community in Colombia got to see it.
I was like, I'm going to take it over to my uncle's because he really loves cars. And then when I went over to my uncle and aunt's house, they were having a family luncheon, so everybody came out. But the car I haven't driven a car recently where I said, you know what, I would consider selling everything to maybe buy partially an amount of this car, because it was that good. And I found it very reasonable on the street. Like, it wasn't like a hard, rough ride. I mean, it was. You could tell it was a sporty car.
Yep.
It was a little noisy because it didn't have the insulation, but I would say it's almost livable. Not as a daily driver, but you could sell a lot of cars and just have one supercar.
It's interesting to hear, what the automotive press at large says about certain cars.
Yeah, they say it's too much for the street, and
Yeah.
I didn't feel.
And we all have our biases and preferences. And I haven't driven a GT3 RS, or at least a brand new one, but I've driven a 718 GT4 RS, and everybody says, "Oh, it's too hardcore for the street. The ride is just brutal." Well, the ride in a GT4 RS is actually really nice in normal mode. It's
exactly. So I don't
really
know where
supple.
these
It's the
comments are-
noise.
I think they pair it. I really don't think they've driven the car, and I think they pair it what they've read in other reviews.
I think they've driven the car, but
I read the 959 stuff, and I'm like, there's no way whoever wrote this drove this car. There's no way.
no. Here's the thing: they've driven the car. Can they write well about it?
Or do they make their true own opinions, or as Manny said, are they influenced by other
I
things?
read that 959 has no lag. I'm thinking you've never driven.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, we definitely.
Sorry, you've never
You've never driven a 959. But the GT3RS, I found that it was, of course, it had very few miles on it, so I didn't bury the throttle. But driving it, it tracked very well, as a street car should. The bumps, they were firm, but not uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It was loud, but not terribly loud. You could still have a conversation with a passenger. This sounds really crazy, but I enjoyed the fact that when you're driving a car like that, you kind of stand out and you're worried about it. Masks the speed a lot, right? Like if you're going 75, 80 miles an hour, like you don't even recognize it. So like I'm constantly doing the 360, surveying what's going on around me. And so what's nice with the new GT3 RS is how high that wing is in the back. Mm-hmm. So when you look in the rear window, nothing's obstructed. Like you see everything. And I don't know, it's just a kind of a weird thing for me to, you're driving a cool car like that. And that's what really stands out is, the view everywhere in the car was, you didn't have to worry about what's behind you. You can see everything.
You don't miss the rear view until you've driven a GT3 RS, like an older one.
Right, and then you don't have it.
You look back not expecting, wait, it takes a split second for you to realize, oh, the wing's there.
Yeah, exactly. So. And it was a beautiful car. It was definitely a attention grabber at the show, and the color combination it's a very cool car. So for those of you that have a GT3 RS, kudos to you, and I hope you put some miles on it.
So how loud is it on the inside? Because the one thing that would make me say a GT4 RS isn't like a road trip car or a daily driver is the engine noise.
Interesting enough, my friend that has this car, he also has a GT4 RS, and he was saying that 30 minutes in his GT4 RS, and he's like, I'm kind of done.
Oh yeah.
And
totally believe it.
And I haven't read this, but he said that there's actually been some folks on forums saying that didn't realize it was going to be that loud, and they're going, maybe this is not a street car.
Yeah.
The GT3 RS was not annoyingly loud
not
at
like
all.
That.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, in fact, it's like you want to bury the throttle and blip the throttle every now and again to hear it because it sounded so sweet. But not annoyingly loud.
Yeah.
So
that'd be a good comparo.
Well, so that's the thing is after he said that, I thought of you, and I know you did a drive recently too, but I'm going to probably take out the GT4 RS and try to experience, is it really that loud? And is it...
I think I need to take that one because I'm the one who's driven...
I haven't driven either one, so you can get a neutral opinion. You've already made your decision. I haven't.
So when I come back, we have... we can certainly take the GT3 RS out again. We have the GT4 RS, but he also has. I remember a few months ago he was asking me about what color should I consider for my next 911. I was like, "What are you getting?" He's like, "Oh, I'm getting a Turbo S." I'm like, "Ooh, that's cool." And I had recently, when I was in Germany with the Porsche family, I saw one in Smyrna green. Smyrna green, I think is how you pronounce it. That color is gorgeous.
There was one at Parade, too. At Parade Pocono, remember?
At Parade Pocono.
Because I couldn't see it. I could just see gray.
Oh, you can't see that
And then it had
color.
a matching 356 that was parked next to it that was Smyrna, and I thought it was Smyrna gray.
So
not green.
So as I was picking this car, I looked at him like, you got it. He's like, yeah, you told me that was a cool color. So he got Smyrna green, and he did the Sport Classic, like houndstooth interior with tan. It's a gorgeous car. So
what's that called? A Heritage interior?
I think yes. I think it's
that's
all. Yeah. So that's a couple cars we're going to do, and the other thing.
What's more rare, a Turbo S or a Turbo?
Probably a turbo at this point. I've
would
seen
think
more
so.
Turbo
You
S's.
see more Turbo S's?
I don't think so. I've seen many turbos.
Well, who wants a 550 horsepower turbo when you can get a 600 and 20 horsepower?
I'll take either, sir.
Or
I will
640?
take either.
Yeah.
So speaking of buying cars, I have a task that's been handed down to me from my mom. She is finally looking to getting into the Porsche world. She's been a long time BMW and Mercedes fan. She's currently driving a GLC 300, and she wants to go into a Macan.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I think my recommendation to her, because she's more about comfort than maybe necessarily about sporting, I think a base model Macan with some nice options, interior options, and maybe a cool color is the way to go. Is that what you guys would recommend, or do you think?
What kind of horsepower is she driving now?
It's a GLC 300, so I've driven it. I would say, and I've driven a base Macan. I would say they're very comparable. Like
I wouldn't get something slower, because then her impressions are going to be it's a slower car. It's not as good as her BMW. So if you
Say
have
that
to,
again?
I wouldn't get a slower car.
Oh, don't get a slower car. Yeah, no. It's the GLC. I'll look it up. That's a good point. I'll look it up, but I don't think the GLC.
I mean, the base Macan's a great car, but if you're coming from a higher horsepower SUV,
you feel that it's slower,
and you're going to the base Macan, you may think it's
that's like if you drive a Macan S and you drive a Macan, then you recognize how much slower the regular Macan is. I was thinking maybe even the Macan T. I think that's a good buy.
Well, it's still a base engine.
Yeah, but I think doesn't the Macan T come with a bunch of like kind of thrown in there package deal?
Yeah,
and
I mean performance
interior.
mods. It's probably got stiffer
I think it has
springs.
PASM with it.
Oh, so maybe that's not.
So I'd probably drive it first.
Yeah, I need to
just to be sure.
Maybe I need to call
Base Macan with an interior package of some sort, with leather or the technology stuff.
What's her price range?
She's retiring, so it doesn't really matter.
Are you banking on like inheritance money?
I just want her to have. She's always said she's wanted one, but there's
Just
some
want her to have fun as long as she doesn't spend too much.
No. Honestly, I mean, I just want her to get a car that she's going to like, and
she'd like it.
Like we would love like a GTS or something like that, right? But I feel as though my mom would probably stress out having huge wheels with no sidewall tires and stuff like that, and a rougher ride.
No
like
Macan T.
Yeah. So
What does she have now as far as wheels? What size?
Again, I don't know. It's a GLC 300.
I would
just
look
normal.
to make it somewhat comparable, because if she's used to, if she's a curb hitter and she's used to having,
She doesn't hit curbs.
17s.
Yeah, she's actually a very good driver. She left foot brakes, believe it or not. I don't know why, but she always left foot
learned
brakes.
that way, I'm sure.
She learned that way, and so she left foot brakes. But yeah, she doesn't hit curbs or anything like that. It's just yeah, she just finally
Base Macan premium package.
Yeah, something like that.
Not even like a crazy color. Just
Casey at Porsche Silver Spring, if you're listening, I'm going to be calling you soon. Give your recommendations, and then I'll probably have to reach out to the local region out in Orange County, see if they have a preferred dealer out there. And then the question is, does she lease or does she buy? Because she in the past she's done a lot of leasing of cars, and then she buys them out at the end of the term of the lease. So
I don't know.
yeah. All right, so let's talk about our little trip to California. We got on a plane Monday morning, did some appointments, and then came back last night. So 24 hours in Southern California.
Yep, we went to, we did a lot. Went to go see, I guess, total 4 places for possible Unstock. And we even had dinner at Ilko's house.
That was the highlight of the trip. So yes, what we try to do with Unstock is not only have the show that highlights modified Porsches, but also gives the attendees a unique experience as to where the show is being held, and maybe getting some insight into the company that we're having it hosted at, or some sort of building, or some. We had it at with our friends at Gunther Works for the first show. We had it at West Coast Customs last year, and so we're looking at a number of places. And what's great is I think we have 3 really great options for us into the future. It's just maybe a question of what order in which we will choose. The first one, I want to thank the folks from the Hagerty Garage and Social, Dan, David from the Van Nuys location, and Steve and Nico from the Culver City. So we did it. We landed at LAX. Culver City was the closest, and this was the newest Hagerty Garage and Social location. And boy, what a beautiful. So this the one, Robert, you have there, that is actually the Van Nuys. Let's go to Culver City. I think I sent Culver City, or maybe I didn't.
So for those who are wondering what's Hagerty Garage and Social, it's basically like a clubhouse slash car storage location.
That's exactly what it is.
And you and these are popping up or have popped up all over the country. And so it's not just a place to store your car, but it's also a place if you want to come out, if you want to watch. A lot of places have like watch parties for Formula One or Le Mans or any of the sports car races, and they try to have an event. So they want you to feel like it's a place to come hang out, as opposed to just a garage where you pick up your car.
It's like your community clubhouse, only just not in your neighborhood.
Yeah. I
Something
mean,
like
obviously, space is a premium in cities like Los Angeles, and people that have multiple cars need to keep it in a safe, secure place, but also, be a part of an area where they can hang out and have fun activities. The whole time I was visiting, when we were visiting both of those properties, I was thinking, man, this is like every car person's dream to have some sort of garage tied in with a cool hangout place. And you could feel it. You could feel that when they developed this, especially the one in Van Nuys, because that's tied together with Rod Emery and Patrick Long. And so in their clubhouse there was a lot of memorabilia from Rod's family, from Patrick's career, and it was way cool. And they also have some of their own cars at the Van Nuys.
It's a car enthusiast daycare place.
Yeah,
pretty much,
absolutely.
Yeah,
and it'd be a place that you would want your kids when you're maybe retired to send you, and then have you hang out there for the day.
Out of those two areas, Culver City's pretty sweet. I've been there, but it's not really. I think Van Nuys, just based on location, that is a more car enthusiast area. It's a little bit easier to access and get to for the people north.
So Culver City is a little bit more inland, and actually the city itself is very cool. Like I've never driven
Culver
through there,
City is good.
but it's pretty dense, right?
Yes.
So getting through there would be, for someone that's just storing their car and going there to have fun, it's not a problem. But a big event there
Would be tough.
would be tough.
But
tough
they
for
had
us.
some pretty serious hardware.
They had,
storage.
oh my gosh.
yeah.
We walked through
Yeah.
the door, and I think they were staging a number of cars for the Broad Arrow Group that
They're
the
getting
auction,
ready for Monterey.
auction. But the cars, I mean, what did we see? We saw a Ferrari GTO,
288 GTO, 300 SL,
Yeah.
a ton of Bugattis, the original Bugattis, not the Veyrons, Mercedes from the 30s.
4 GTs.
There was the DB5 Aston
Oh,
Martin.
yeah.
It was
Impressive.
very impressive.
That is.
There were Porsches there too, but we see them all the time. Our jaws were dropping for all these other cars that were there. So Culver City probably wouldn't be an opportunity for Unstock just because our event is too large for that. But Van Nuys certainly is a location. Like you said, it's very convenient off the freeway, but then it's also in an industrial area, which, as you know, our event is on a Sunday, which means it's usually going to be empty there, which is perfect for us.
Yeah, and I know Letos Garage is in the valley. I'm pretty sure there's so many car companies and film production companies, and
This
it's a
was
cool
the
area.
former location for storage for Let's Make a Deal.
Let's make a deal.
Oh, wow.
Remember that? I don't even. Do you know that shit?
I've heard the show,
Yeah,
but I don't remember what
Monty
it's
Hall
like.
was the
Monty
we
Hall's
had to look it
Let's
up. I
Make
couldn't
It.
remember.
Yeah.
But they were telling us that it was the place where they stored all the stuff, props and stuff for Let's
Yeah.
Make a Deal, and that they still get mail addressed
From
to
fans.
Let's Make a
Oh,
Deal.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Somehow we're gonna have to, if we have Unstock there, we're gonna have to weave in some of that. Let's make a deal
all
theme to it. It's pretty cool.
that or just the Hollywood stuff in general out there.
Yeah, and as we were driving through, we saw people with picket signs, and
SAG
this was a Culver City, right?
Yeah.
Culver City. We're like, what are they picketing? And it was Sony Entertainment. that
Sony
was-
pictures. Yeah.
Yeah.
it was-
Yeah, get the full experience. Pay the picketers to picket around. Or something.
I noticed like they actually have picket signs there for you to like use. Like they
Nice.
provide it. So, and then from there we moved on to Corona, California, to visit our friend Christian at Eibach, and that is their production facility primarily for North America and South America. And the facility there is huge. Certainly a venue that would be able to host Unstock and the facility could even accept cars parked inside, and I think it would be really,
What do you say,
really
40
cool.
or 50 cars?
40 or 50 cars inside. Manny's just looking at all this, the warehousing, and he's just in awe of
It was
the
a
structure.
very impressive facility, and it made me feel good that how much manufacturing.
Yeah.
I thought they were just a distributor. I didn't realize they manufactured the springs there.
Looks like a fairly new facility, newish.
It's not. It's
No.
not. It's not that new. It's just it's super clean and
Yeah.
Growing up in Southern California and going to college in Orange County, Corona had a reputation. And last time I drove through it, which was, gosh, it must have been last year when I was in Los Angeles during November, totally different.
Oh, no,
suburbs, nice houses.
No, this area was nice. This is also in an industrial park, which would be very quiet on a Sunday.
Yeah.
But their facility for a manufacturing facility, it's beautiful, and it was still they were making things. They were making springs, and we
Nice.
got to see all that. So
Maybe my springs are being built right now.
so if you're into seeing how things are done at a factory, this one's going to be again one of those special moments at Unstock to see. They make springs there, they make sway bars there.
Yeah, they told us that they would have demonstrations of how
Oh,
they
yeah.
make springs.
Yeah.
And
Well,
They-
so
they-
far, my vote's going to Eibach.
we were very impressed. It
Yeah.
was everything from R&D to the manufacturing to the
Packaging.
distribution. Everything was done in this very, very large warehouse.
Yeah, and plenty of parking as well. And the great thing, as I said earlier, of the four, the Culver City was too small, but all three of them are potentially at some point going to
Yeah,
host
because
an
the
Unstock.
parking lot at Hagerty, you could do an autocross.
Yeah,
They had no light
yeah.
poles.
Yeah,
It was just
and their building
nice and
was
flat.
painted a flat black, which I think if you had a very colorful car, things would really pop. So,
Yeah.
we did the tour there, and then we ventured on to San Diego because HRE is in San Diego, and as Manny said, we had a wonderful dinner with Ilko and his family. Had some Bulgarian food, and man,
Nice.
Is
Is HRE one of the places as well?
Yeah,
'Cause I've been to a car show there back in 2009 or 10 or something. A long time ago.
Yesterday morning we rolled up at HRE again, a beautiful building, a huge warehouse facility, and they have grown since you probably were
I'm
there.
sure, yeah.
And they host a annual open house, which is much larger.
That's the one I went to. It's amazing.
Yeah, much larger than Unstock. So they are certainly capable of hosting an Unstock sized.
They're all machines
Yeah.
to make the wheels. That's
and yeah, it's all the different designs. Just think about all the different fitments. You have a number of wheels, and then those wheels have to fit a number of cars, and then a certain line is made to order, a certain line is made for inventory. Very impressive. And how do you stay fresh on designs? And we went into the showroom, and you could tell obviously people that are working at a place as HRE are enthusiasts, but you can really see it in their design work, because there was a lot of rims that when I looked at it, I immediately knew where the inspiration was coming from, and they confirmed it. They're like, yeah, that was a E36 M3 motivation, or if that was a turbo twist motivation.
If you're watching right now, I'm going to guess that that one HRE wheel closest to the camera was probably Lamborghini inspired.
Probably, yep. And then
Probably.
there's the one with all the different angles in there.
Yeah.
That was a carbon barrel, but that was a 3D printed. The one on the left of
Oh,
it.
wow.
That's a
That's
3D
pretty amazing.
printed. Look at the detail.
some of the wheels took a whole day to make.
Yeah.
It's and so one thing they work on is reducing manufacturing time, because obviously that's more profit. But yeah, that's how complex some of these wheels are. Is that
So you have all the
Take a
materials
while.
from aluminum to carbon, one piece, two piece. And an interesting tidbit we found is 3-piece wheels really aren't advantageous anymore. Like back in the day, you heard
Yeah,
about
you would
3-piece
think.
wheels, but now it's like if you kill a barrel, then a 2-piece wheel is just fine. And there's you don't
So
really
wait, what's the difference between the 2 and the 3? It's the
the front face and the back of the wheel are
the
two
back
separate
barrel,
pieces.
and then the front barrel.
Yeah, that's two separate pieces.
Okay, yeah.
and they were usually not for the street because they would leak.
Yeah.
And they were used for racing, and they were taken apart and rebuilt so many times that leakage was never a problem, but for street use, they were almost frowned upon because of the fact that.
Yeah, and two-piece
They
you don't
weren't
have that
designed for
problem
that.
because it's a full barrel,
Yeah.
right? And it's the second piece is actually just a face, and the face attaches to the barrel, but where the face attaches, it's not where the air is going to leak out.
Yeah, and on top of that, what I noticed on my Golf, actually, which had camber plates, is that when you're going to run over a pothole with a car that's lower and has a little more negative camber, it's usually the inside,
right, yeah.
that gets bent anyway.
Yeah.
So,
And they're designing wheels are. A lot of OEM wheels are large nowadays, but some of those wheels that we saw for like Bentleys, and they're doing all sorts of crazy large sizes. But it was good to know they still make wheels as small as 17-inch.
wow.
Yeah,
It's funny. My
And
Mazda has 16s.
right. Yeah. So for an aftermarket company to still make reasonably smaller size wheels for cars that are older, like an NSX, I think they used as an example. But yeah, we still make 17s, custom ones.
Yeah, definitely enthusiasts.
Yeah.
There in Eibach, you could tell, especially in the parking lot,
Yeah.
by what people are driving, that they were. All of them are most of them are enthusiasts. So that was
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Eibach, what I thought was cool was that they actually get people's cars, and let's say they want to do something for the 964. So you bring them their car, you bring them your car, and you can. It'll be sometimes it's just a set of springs.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a full system.
Development
and
stuff.
you get all the installation and the system itself as they're trying it out, and testing it on your car.
I know somebody who had that done on a Toyota years ago.
Yeah, because I've always wondered, like, how does a manufacturer get the the data to
They
make
know somebody who knows somebody, and they say, "Hey, ask your friend if they want to."
if they want to bring
be
their
a
car
part
down,
of,
right?
the
'Cause
development program.
It wouldn't. It wouldn't be reasonable for a manufacturer to buy every car that comes out, right? So you
Yep.
just invite someone that has the car that you want to make stuff for.
Yep. Funny enough, Pirelli actually, and I'm gonna say at this point because I didn't know what the tire was, but now that they've been announced, the Trofeo RS, my uncle I was approached because through Melanie actually saying that Pirelli needed to develop a tire, and so I talked to my uncle and we had a conversation. And in the end, it was a lot of track work with a pro driver, and he was a little bit like.
Yeah.
My GT3R.
Melanie said, "Do you know anyone who has a RS, a 911, who will want to test out tires in California?" And I go, "What part?" And he said, "Like San Diego." And that's when I thought of Keith. And I
He
said,
would have been
"Yes,
perfect, but
contact Damon."
But he was just like, "Oh man, that car just doesn't go on track."
Oh,
so
it doesn't.
but they found somebody. But yeah, that's how it works. They find somebody who knows somebody.
It makes
they have
sense.
a friend, and
Yeah, even when we were at KW in the recent KW video, they're customer cars. And a lot of times they have very close customers that when they buy a new car, they're just like automatically they want a custom suspension, so they
Here
reach
you
out,
go.
say, hey, you can keep my car for a couple of weeks and do some R&D on
At
it.
Eibach, they showed us the testing machines, and they had one running, like simulating, I don't know how many thousands of miles, but you could see the whole travel. It's a shock, and it's constantly, they're monitoring and taking tests of it.
Yeah.
And HRE, how they did the finishes on the wheels.
Yeah.
It was basically a box of rocks on a vibrating machine that just shaking them, and it's creating the finish on it. It was very, and how they age the springs.
Yeah.
They put the springs in basically salt water to try to age them, and then they're looking to see they put
How it
like a
reacts.
cut in it
Yeah.
to see how it reacts to the
or if a piece of paint
to the
chipped
salt.
off.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
for
lot
weathering
of
tests.
testing goes into it. So what I learned from Eibach was not all springs are the same.
I was just going to say that. Not only is not all springs are the same, but materials being sourced is not all the same.
Yes, and it was a little bit sad that they get their steel from Korea, not because it's cheaper, it's because in the U.S. they don't make that type of spec or quality that they're looking for steel. And, the U.S. used to be where steel was king.
Right.
And, they have to go to, I'm sure if they could get it from the U.S., it'd be a lot cheaper to just get it from the
And
U.S.
they would.
than to
They
import
would if it was available, but it's not even available
He
for the
said
stuff
most of them
that-
get it from Korea.
Yeah.
But that and the fact that H&R and the Eibach are actually
the family? It's almost-
they
owned by the same company?
H&R was it DR?
No. So
He worked for him.
He worked for Eibach. So this is almost kind of like Trader Joe's and Aldi or whatever, where
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
they weren't siblings, but one of the workers from Eibach split off and said I can do my own, and I believe they still like live like within
20
the,
minutes or 15 minutes from each
Yeah,
other in the
it's
same
funny.
town.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
But what did they joke about the like these eBay springs you can buy, and they're made in China, really cheap.
Yeah.
And they call it the never-ending lowering spring.
Well, he says every spring out of eBay is a lowering spring eventually.
Yeah, exactly.
so it gets lower, and
Lower
lower,
and
and
lower
lower,
and lower.
Here's a question just for comments. Eibachs or H&Rs now? Comment now.
Yeah,
what-
So
see
comment
what comes
below.
of that.
I've owned both, so I definitely could.
I've never had an Eibach set of springs. I've liked my H&Rs, although I've heard opinions about each.
Yeah.
There seems to be some biases or
and it's almost like
characteristics that are different.
Yeah. There's certain characteristics that you're looking for, and some might be more aggressive. If you're looking for, I can tell you, like the Eibach, the Pro Kits, they lower cars, and with their progressive rate, they ride like a, almost factory, but you have that lowered look.
That's
and
what I'll be getting for the Mazda.
you won't be disappointed. H&Rs, people want more of a sportier spring or want more of a aggressive low look. You can go crazy with H&Rs. I have H&Rs on.
They did
on the fit.
Eibach was doing a lot of OEM manufacturing, like Raptor springs.
Yeah, that's another thing we learned. So Eibach and H&R, there's only so many suppliers and so many companies that make things. And if you're looking for small batch or even OEM quality, they both Eibach and H&R private label to many other companies.
H&R made I believe it was H&R. Oh man, if I'm wrong, somebody's gonna totally light me up here. But H&R, I believe, made the coilovers that are stock on the 996 GT3. The adjustable coilovers.
I know he said that Eibach supplies Porsche as an OEM.
Well, it changes over time.
It changes, yeah.
So,
yeah.
but I'm pretty sure I remember looking underneath at
I think you'd be hard pressed to tell the difference between H&R and Eibach.
Yeah.
Because they're same quality. I think who could tell you the difference would be Mike Levitas.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They're constantly changing the springs on the Cup cars. It would be interesting to see if he could tell the difference.
Oh, he could tell.
I know you can tell the difference in rates.
Yeah.
But if you compare two 800-pound springs, can you tell the difference of an H&R and a Eibach?
Yeah.
I think they're probably similar in quality or it's how it's made. But that was pretty eye-opening.
Was it pretty cool to see that 5,000-pound coil of steel?
I like the story you told us where somebody tried to steal
the steel.
and it's in this
And
you
luckily-
can imagine like a hose reel, and it's banded, and they broke the bands.
6-foot diameter hose reel with heavy, it's coil spring.
When it comes through, it's he goes, he's lucky the guy didn't get killed when he was trying
Yeah,
to,
because he tried to steal it. Yeah.
and it extends. How far did it extend? He said it was like
It
almost
just went boing and
boing.
Oh
and-
my god!
So
that
you know
would've
how
been
when they
scary.
say when you take a coil spring out of the car, you should like
Has to be compressed
Has to be
safely.
compressed safely. Just imagine that, but a 6-foot diameter coil
I
of
fit-
raw steel.
I fit inside this coil.
Yeah, I think we have a
Wow.
picture. I think I sent a picture of
It's
it.
a big.
Yeah.
It was very very impressive to see how they how the raw materials they bring it in and they start developing and making these springs. Everything from little what's it UTVs.
They make lifter springs for engines, and they make this. So when you ride a ski lift, you know how there's a spring which the ski lift kind of bounces off the cable.
Yeah, I know what you're
They
talking
make
about.
the springs for that. They make springs for cruise ship engines or heavy duty commercial.
Yeah, the valve springs for that
Yeah.
one engine that was like 5 stories tall.
Yeah. So a little bit of everything. Anyways, so we will. I can guarantee that we are going to have a cool space for Unstock. We'll let you know exactly which property that is here shortly. Man, you know what? I was also surprised when we came out of LAX. It was like 100 degrees, heat dome or something going on in LA.
I sent a picture of the car. Outside tent was 103. I sent it to my wife to say it's pretty hot here.
Yeah, and then of course you go to San Diego, 75 degrees.
Yeah, always.
Always 75 degrees. All right, so let's see upcoming videos. Actually, let's talk about the recent Tech Tactics Live. Rod Kraft invited us over to his garage. He's a representative of Griot's Garage, and he has an awesome setup.
Yeah, it was a 5-bay Garage Maha.
Yeah.
Rods into, he had a beautiful Roadrunner street rod.
That he owned
Blown.
in high school.
Yeah. Well, he sold it and then found it again.
Yeah.
And, he talked about in general with the different products you can get that doesn't necessarily have to be griots, but what they do and
What's available for
essential
different
tools
cleaning
and things
scenarios.
you should have as a home DIYer that's detailing.
Yeah, lots of, this was just tips and secrets from, he's been doing it for 30 plus years. He's the one that you typically see at shows and answering thousands of questions from PCA members at our shows. And he was sharing with us all the different things that you might want to consider. And again, it wasn't a sales promotional for griots. It was just talking about, different things that are out there. I learned 2 things, which was pretty cool.
Water spot remover?
Water spot
Yeah,
remover.
same here.
I've never known about that, so I'm going to certainly try that. I've got some water spots on a few of my cars. And the other tip that he shared with me that's pretty cool is when you are cleaning your windows, what do you do?
You inside or outside. Basically, you go, one's a horizontal wipes and the other one's vertical wipes, and that way you can tell any streaks. You can see them right away.
And if you see streaks, if it's horizontal, and let's say that's how you applied it on the inside, that's you have to address it from the side. That's a cool
I can't
little
wait
tip.
to try that. I never thought about that. But
Yeah. So what do we have coming up, Damon?
Well, so these videos will be out by the time you listen or watch this podcast, but we'll do the first one, Robert, is the GT4 RS. And so this was in Palm Springs. We had a anonymous person who let me drive it. Now listen to what it sounds like. So that's a little preview right there.
Man.
A little downshift every time. It's such a loud
the same
car.
shirt as you were in the video.
Oh yeah, I am, but fortunately not the shorts. When I was looking at that, I'm like, it was so hot, but that's what I had. But
it was like 100 and some degrees every day. It felt
So
like.
Exactly.
So the audio that you hear in that, is it primarily the exhaust or is it the intake that you're
So
listening
that's all intake, I believe.
Intake,
almost
really?
all intake. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure you hear the exhaust, and that was so we had a microphone set up, but that was just pure GoPro audio, and it just. This time, I'm going to ask our editor to combine the GoPro audio.
Yeah.
I think we should add on a 5th rating, a first date rating.
Yeah, exactly. That would not be a first date car.
Are you going to be talking to your date or?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Probably.
This is yeah.
So the Weissach package for that car just changes the intake from either plastic to carbon, but it still has that same intake position.
Yeah, everything's the same. It's just there's a lot more just black plastic. It doesn't look quite as nice. So yeah, the intake box is carbon plus the runners that go out to the rear quarter windows that used to be there.
Yeah.
Bare carbon hood. The hood is already carbon fiber on the regular one. It's just painted.
So the previous generation GT4 RS that doesn't have that.
Never was an RS.
Oh, I'm sorry, GT4.
GT4, yep.
GT4 that doesn't have an intake in that quarter window. If you didn't have that in this car, do you think the exhaust, is the exhaust the same volume? It's just that because you have that intake right there.
No,
it's
the
just
intake right there is totally any Cayman I've driven, and I've driven a lot of Caymans over the years. It's actually the 2 openings behind the driver and passenger door. One is an air intake, one is an exhaust. I believe the passenger side there's a fan that actually blows air out. Not nearly as loud as having them just suck air right behind your head. It is. And it's not even like the engine sounds great, but it's all the little things that you hear, like if you crack the throttle open a little bit, you get a big whoosh and like all these noises, so if you're just same speed, same throttle, just cruising, it's fine. But as soon as you just step on the throttle a little bit or get off or shift,
Did you try it windows up versus windows down? Like, did that?
Yeah, actually, that video was with the driver window down, like maybe 5 or 6 inches. So it does get louder.
It gets louder when the window's down?
But you really don't need it
okay.
open to hear. I mean, you might even hear the engine more clearly with the windows closed because you have just pure noise coming in right behind you.
Yeah.
Even with the windows closed.
Did
You can tell my look of concentration right there. If you're
Did you miss not having to row your gears?
After our time at Barber Motorsports Park, and we drove, what was it, the Carrera 991.1 Carrera GTS, I think it was, and we had one with a manual and one with PDK. It really,
That's
you're nitpicking if you're...
That's what I found when I was driving the GT3 RS. Like, after I gave him back the car, I thought to myself, like, you know what, the whole time I didn't miss not having to shift. Like, I was so focused in having fun with the car.
Yep.
You know, again, I love manual transmissions, so don't send me hate mail about manual transmissions. I do love it, but I didn't miss it in the GT3 RS. You just focus on other things, and you just move along. So
Yep. No, it's an amazing car. You'll see more about it in the video, which just head to our YouTube channel. It'll be published by the time you're listening to this. But that's the best sports car I've driven in the past 5 years, maybe 10 years.
and it might be one of the last great ones.
Yeah,
Right?
it's going to be hard to beat that.
I thought the same thing about the GT3 RS. One of the last great ones as we move into the hybrid and/or full electric world.
Yep, agreed. So another video that'll be coming up. We were going to have a Liquimoly video published this week and watchable by the time you hear this, but we're actually swapping things up. It'll be Targa Florio with Donald Osborne. He explores Porsche's history at the Targa Florio. He talks to a bunch of Italians, man on the street interviews with a bunch of Italians. He's talked to motorsport historians that live on the island, and the grandson of Vincenzo Florio. And it's a great video. It's a documentary. It's almost 30 minutes, but it's so good.
I thoroughly enjoyed the preview, and I know you're making some tweaks to it before it gets posted, but it's worth the length to sit there and watching it. And what I loved was getting the emotion from the people that live there and what it meant to them. And so many people that live in that area don't even have a car, but it was like a family event to be there and experience it, and they grew up in it, and you all will definitely like that video.
It's very good. Whether you're into or know much about the Targa Florio or not, I think you'll enjoy it.
Cool. Yep. All right, man, you want to get into Porsche news?
Sure.
We're talking about first one I think you have listed is talking about your favorite topic, Formula E.
Yes. For all your those fans out there, I don't know how many there are, but
Porsche's
you'll
dominating.
be happy to know that they're extending it by another 3 years. Porsche's commitment to it. I just wish that Formula E would race on racetracks, not street circuits.
Yeah.
And
Well, not only that, but have like the ability to host people to go see it and have fun. Whereas
it's like it's
different
very
formula.
bizarre to me because it's like the race series that doesn't want spectators.
yeah.
It's very
And when we were watching
strange.
it here, Jim said for all it was kind of hard to follow because everything looks so similar.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought the racing's great, but
I don't like the thing where you got to go get more power.
Like you go on a certain path. It's almost like what's the game?
Mario Kart.
Mario Kart.
you could almost call some of the stuff gimmicky. I mean, it's not gimmicky because it does change how the racing is, but is it a little bit? I mean, straight. It's not straight racing.
Yeah.
There are little things you have to do.
Right.
So it's a little bit weird for an old school racer or race enthusiast.
It's an evolution of
But the racing's really close. I mean, the one we watched in the office. I mean, that was exciting to watch.
Yeah.
But I mean, somebody who doesn't. I love Formula One, but I'm not paying to watch Formula One.
It's
so I just
also
get
hard
all
to
the YouTube
tell
highlights.
what car's which because
Right.
they all look the same.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Even
it's hard to follow.
the liveries aren't something that me say, oh yeah, that's the Porsche right there. It's
think
you're looking at the numbers, going, is that the Porsche?
Yeah.
It's like the Cadillac and the Porsche look very similar or something.
At least you can tell color-wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next up, we have. Oh, this is we got a cool picture. You saw this on the news, but
I think our editor got a ride in one.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
he must be very
Instagram.
special.
So, getting a ride in a 918 Spider if you need to catch a
I'm
Delta
assuming this
flight.
is after you have checked in your luggage.
Yeah, right.
That car doesn't have a whole lot of luggage space.
No. So, pretty cool.
That is not what our seats looked like yesterday in Southwest.
Nope. Different colors, and we definitely didn't get a ride in a 918
And we
Spider.
could squeeze 2 people in each of the seats. They would. But Porsche and Delta. have a
Robert,
very
go
close
back one
relationship.
picture for the rear license plate.
So
I think I just saw. So I see MDP, and then I see ZONDA. So
Zonda.
I'm thinking Zonda. Is that a Zonda joke or a Pagani joke? I don't think so.
I
It
don't
looks
know.
random to me.
Yeah, so those of you that are just listening, it's a blue 918 Spider that is parked. Actually, that there is in Europe, whereas the service is in Atlanta, right?
Unless they have it in Europe. That's strange. That I just noticed that too.
Yeah, because you look at the
But
18 wheelers.
it was all in the different news outlets because
Yeah,
guess
somebody
they
must have
just-
used the wrong photos.
somebody got a ride in one and they made a story of it.
Yeah.
So they've been giving people rides. And I guess they're
Usually it's like
first class ticket.
Usually it's like a Macan or Panamera.
Panamera,
yeah. So it's the Delta. Being out of Atlanta, the Delta and Porsche partnership relationship. Next up, you have motorsports wise GT4 E Performance.
So this happened in Watkins Glen a couple weeks ago, where IMSA ran. Of course, this is the famous race that Porsche won, and then they got penalized for being having a skid plate out of spec, and so they lost the win. But Jörg Bergmeister and Klaus Bachler ran laps, and they're running the same laps as Cup cars in this electric Cayman. It was very impressive. And they did several laps. So it wasn't like one lap, and they had to bring it in and recharge it. They did. I think they're enough to do a race.
Oh yeah. So
I mean, not a full IMSA race, but certainly a sprint race.
I think
Yeah,
one
sprint
did
race.
like a handful, and then Jurg did like 7 or 8.
Oh, they had plenty for that because when they had it at the PEC during the opening of the Classic Center, at 1,000 horsepower, it's only a couple laps, but at 650 horsepower,
30 minutes.
it can do 30 minutes. So, and it sounds really cool. And I know people are, oh, man, you know what? We got a very disturbing letter from a member that got triggered because we had, posts about cars being electrified. Like, it was a nasty. So if you guys should think twice if you're going to be nasty, because we do read all of the emails. You think it's not coming back to an unmanned box, mailbox? No, we read them all.
There's a lot of angry people in this world.
But why? Why? If you don't like it, then just
I think
move
they're
on.
unhappy with their own lives, and they're just
Like,
looking
yeah,
for something.
if you don't like it, you don't have to buy it. But why send nasty grams? But anyways, long story short is like it's this. People complain that some electric cars don't have the soul or don't have the sounds. I tell you what, if you listen to that car, it's completely different from a combustion engine. Don't get me wrong, but it sounds wicked. It sounds evil. It's like like, and you can hear the straight cut gears. I mean,
not the most pleasant sound. I mean, it's hard to argue against a gas engine sound, but as far as reliability,
it's a different sound.
Yep.
Right.
Well, that doesn't make it better, though.
No, but just like people complaining about turbo 4s versus 6. It's not necessarily that a turbo 4 sounds worse than a 6 or an 8. It's just a different sound.
Yeah.
And you're
It's like vacuum cleaners racing.
Manny.
No, to
I
me.
think some people hold ideas, and it prevents them from appreciating electric cars.
But the sound isn't what makes them exciting.
Yeah.
It's the fact that you're getting such reliability out of this motor, versus the gas engine.
Yeah.
It's well, I've said it before. Gas engines just. We're going to look back and say, how in the world do we trust these things to get us from point A to point B when there's so many moving parts in it?
Yeah.
I can't wait to the first true electric sports car, and hopefully Porsche is it, because I think that's really going to be a game changer for people.
Yeah, torque and, like you said, reliability, and I think the biggest thing, as everyone has talked about, is just the infrastructure for charging. If you're able to charge at home, you'll be just fine. But if you're using something where you need to go find a place to charge, and that's where it's going to be hard for people. But yeah, I'm excited because the performance level, and as you said, the maintenance, the lesser maintenance on these cars, that's very attractive.
We watched. I don't know if you were there at one Petit Le Mans, but they had a support race TDI diesels, the Jettas,
Oh yeah,
and
they were quiet, weren't they?
oh my God,
Yeah,
we could have a presentation in the Porsche Platz tent, and everyone could hear. When we tried to do a presentation during the racing or practice with the IMSA cars, it was so loud you couldn't hear yourself talk, and all you heard was the screeching of the tires. And I remember back then, it was over 10 years ago, thinking this is what electric car racing is going to be like.
Yeah.
You hear the tire, but you don't really hear anything else. And you couldn't hear the diesel engines. They were so quiet. We just heard tire screeching. And it was such fun racing to watch because they're all spec. So they're all the same. So it comes down to the driver's skill. And I don't think anyone said it would sound so much better. They were making noise. It was really close racing.
Was it the Audi? The Audi
yeah,
diesel?
the TDI diesel.
Yeah,
that
that
was LMP1 car.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Audi R10.
That was wicked cool to watch,
Yeah,
and
it
it
was.
was relatively quiet.
Yeah, the sound doesn't. Like I said,
It adds-
electric
it adds-
sound isn't.
It's-
I'd rather have that than fake sound.
Yeah. Or here, let me just throw this at you. Have no car stuff to have fun with, right? Like if you just do mass transportation and, everybody rides trains and everybody rides, automated cars, like I'm more worried about that. That's what I don't want. As long as we get to have fun with our cars, regardless of power plant, we're good to go.
There's no way that's going to happen in the U.S.
Yeah, I know.
We can't we can't get our train rail system fixed, much less.
But the rest of the world, like when we were in London, mass transit really works well, and I could see why people don't own cars.
I wish we had the train system of Europe. I would love to get on the train
in the morning and just
or
but
even be able to go to another state fast and not have to go through the airport and everything. Yeah, I think their rail system is so superior.
Mass transit and infrastructure only work at their best if everyone's on the same page. And as we know here, we're not all on the same page.
No, it's not going to happen. But what I would love is for folks that don't want to drive, they have an option and then stay off the roads, and that way the roads are for us that want to enjoy the roads.
Agreed.
Like that would be the ultimate.
Yeah.
It won't happen. I know Manny's like you're dreaming. You're dreaming. Yeah. All right, and lastly, talking about EVs, and this was one even my mom asked. She was like, "Should I wait for the Macan EV to come out before I buy?" And I said, you could, but they're what, a year away, 2 years away?
And this year they're saying they're going to announce it.
Yeah,
So,
announce it, but that means cars won't roll off.
Yeah, and they've already said that they're going to be making the gas engine along the EV. They've kind of like throttled back their schedule.
Because originally they said when it goes to Macan and Cayenne EV,
It was just going to be
just
I'm pretty sure that article said that they were doing both at the same time.
that's what I'm saying. It did.
From the start, though.
I'm
pretty sure.
No, they were pretty. Originally, they were. If you look at Oliver Bloom's his first statements were that it was going to be going straight to EV.
But I think they quickly realized, their bread and butter. If people that are buying all of their bread and butter cars aren't really ready to move to EV, then that could be a potential, significant impact on.
Because we had a lot of people calling the office asking, that should they buy a Macan now because this will be the last year, and then Porsche kind of reversed and said it was not. It was going to run alongside the.
Well, this comes up like every other podcast, I feel like, so I need to pull up those articles and have them ready. But either the 718 or the Macan, one of them has always been it's going to be both at first.
Correct. The one they did originally announce that, like you said, either it was the Boxer Cayman or if it was these, that they said there was going to be electric only.
The Macan, I think, was electric because I remember thinking this is their best-selling car.
Yeah.
Wow, this is a hell of a I'm all in. Poker chips gamble.
Is the 718? Remind me. Is the 718 going to be only electric when they come out?
I think everything now is going to be both.
It's going to be both for the Macan and 718. All right.
We should research this and put this to bed.
So we're not spreading misinformation here.
But the thing is, it's not just it's Porsche. Porsche, they make statements and they change their position, but it's the infrastructure needs so much help in the U.S. and it's great that Electrify America built all these stations, but half of them aren't working.
No.
And That is the saving grace for Tesla, is the fact they have a phenomenal charging network.
Yeah.
Now, if you can charge at home, then you're golden.
You're golden,
With
yeah.
it. And that's when I hear people going, I'll buy one when they have 400, 500-mile range.
You don't need that.
And I'm thinking, for me,
Yeah. I'm happy with 200.
I drive, I think it was 200 miles in a week. Mm-hmm. If I work 3 days out of the office, that covers me without having to charge again.
Yeah.
But if you charge home charge, you just go home and plug
And
it in.
if you
you're
need to
fresh
do a
again.
1,000-mile trip, guess what? There's other vehicles, or rent one, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and how often do you do that 1,000-mile trip? Like maybe once a year.
What a missed opportunity for Electrify America that they've built so many of these stations, and I hear the same thing. They
don't
just
work.
don't work right.
They don't work.
And
They're
it's
broken.
like,
Oh.
why, after being forced to do that, to pay up, why didn't VW just do it right?
Because it could be a revenue generator. I mean, that's what for Tesla, that's what they're going to be.
But after the Dieselgate thing, you would have thought they would just be like, you know what, let's just do this right.
I don't know, man.
And-
There's a lot
yeah.
of moving parts to all that
True.
to happen.
True.
And, you're talking about a lot of details.
I say that
It's
here,
very-
my armchair, whatever you want to call it.
Exactly.
But, man,
Exactly. Well, let's get into some events. We still have a few registration spots for Works Reunion Monterey. We have corral spots left over. The Judge area is closed. We still have space, and we are looking for volunteers for Rensport Reunion 7. Of course, we've talked a lot about that in the recent podcast. Updates on the parade laps for those that have corral tickets for Rensport Reunion. Manny, you want to share what's going on with the parade laps?
Well, Friday and Saturday are sold out,
Okay.
but Thursday and Sunday are not. So
okay.
if you want to do parade laps and you're going to be there on a Thursday or a Sunday and you have Corral Pass
Okay.
and a Porsche, you can't show up with the Corral Pass in your Toyota. They won't let you on the track. But if you have a Corral Pass,
It's amazing that we have
a
to explain
Porsche,
that.
you will be able, and you buy the tickets, you'll be able to drive on the track. Yes, it is early. They go out, I think, at 7:30. The good news is, hopefully, you'll get it done, and we won't be delayed midday, which usually happens.
you don't want to be in the line on the way in at 9 a.m. at Rensport.
Oh,
Especially
yeah.
on a Saturday.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
So, anyways, it's $65, I think, to do the parade lap. And for a lot of people, this is locals have driven Laguna Seca. It's not a big thing. It's probably like us driving Summit Point. But
It's still fun, though,
but
to
being
be in a
able to-
lineup of cars.
You know what's cool about it is if you've never seen a racetrack with spectators. Because I remember the first time I drove at the 50-50, which was like the pre-Rensport back in the late 90s. That really freaked me out, racing and seeing people watching you, because
Yeah.
normally the only people you're out there with is the corner workers.
Right.
But that was very distracting, seeing all these spectators along the track.
Registration for one of our fun events here at PCA headquarters. September 9th, we have our open house, and registration for that on Motorsports Reg opens August 2nd. So make sure we do have limited space, and we do give tours that you'll sign up for during the day. And it's a lot of fun, very casual. We have a barbecue and music, and it's a
Thank
fun
God they paved the circle.
I was worried. Yeah, they tore up the asphalt in front of our office here a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, man, I wonder how quickly they're going to finish it up, and it's done.
I was hoping I wouldn't be here, but we were here for that, but it wasn't too bad.
No, it wasn't bad at all. All right, anything else before we sign off? I got to catch a flight to Germany. We've got some special projects ahead with Porsche, and gonna be with Aaron Ambrosino, our national president. Gonna meet some key folks over there, and maybe on the next podcast I'll give you a little rundown on what we did.
cool.
You're going to be able to talk about what you did?
I'll talk about the things that I can talk about. How's that?
Be the food you ate.
No, I'm sure we'll see a number of things that I'll be able to share. All right, folks. Well, thanks for listening. If you aren't currently a PCA member and own a Porsche, grab that VIN and head to PCA.org, and we'll set you up with membership. And if you are looking for a Porsche, you can join the test drive program. Again, just go to PCA.org. Remember to follow our podcast Instagram page. If you haven't already, the newsletters Robert, if you want to throw them up, you can sign up for e-brake news, performance news, and Mark Fresh news, again, at PCA.org. Behind the scenes photos and videos, Porsche Club Insider, all one word. Please, we love it when you give us a like, a thumbs up, a message, a comment. But more importantly, if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button for us. We're making our way to 100,000 subscribers. Podcast at PCA.org. If you want to send us a private message, we will certainly read them, as I told you before. If you want to stay in touch with anything else, again, all the newsletters at PCA.org. Until next time, stay safe, and we'll catch you down the road.